It had been a trying couple of weeks and I was feeling very tired of being isolated at home, so I decided that I would invite a few friends over for dinner. With great trepidation, I wrote a note to a few of my closest friends and one very special and honored guest, expecting them to decline the invitation, of course, especially during lockdown. To my absolute amazement, within seconds I had a response from everyone. They all accepted the invitation. I guess they were feeling like me, tired of being trapped at home and needed to get out. With much excitement, I went about my day, preparing a feast for dinner. One by one, each of my guests arrived. It was so wonderful to see everyone. It had been such a long time. Despite the atmosphere of a bittersweet aroma in the midst of the greatest pandemic of our lifetime, we relished in the fact that we could sit down to a beautifully laid table, a hearty meal, and meaningful conversation. I asked them how they were doing and what some of their thoughts were about these unprecedented times we found ourselves living in. Of course, everyone was eager to share their views. Angus started by telling us how difficult it was to get to the dinner because of the many roadblocks and security patrols, and was quite irate and annoyed by what was obviously a great inconvenience. Fia was abrupt and brash and interrupted to make a point of telling all my friends that the future is completely unknown and we should be very afraid of what is to come. Sadness was so teary-eyed that it was difficult to speak. With a solemn look, Sadness remarked that so many people had died and there was a deep sense of hurt and sorrow for their pain. Love was listening intently to the conversation and said to Anger, "Well, Anger, at least you are in good company with all this love and an amazing meal. Fia, your feisty attitude is what I love most about you. And Sadness, you have a heart as tame as a lamb that makes you so easy to love." My honored guest sat quietly, unmoved by the conversations around the table. I reached out and asked her what was brewing in her mind. With a graceful demeanor and in a voice of quiet strength, she looked at Anger and said, "When our patience is tested, we should appreciate that it is to instill a clear sense of hope for our safety and our well-being. Anger energizes us to cope with the challenges that life brings our way, so it is to be guarded but not abandoned." My guest continued to respond to every one of my friends. To Fia, she remarked, "What would we do without you, Fia? You teach us the value of imagination, and because of that we are able to plan ahead, prepare for eventualities, and find ways to secure our future. You give us hope in believing that we can change the outcome. And Sadness, you keep us grounded in the present, showing us the value of life, of living, of appreciating our time together. By sharing in the pain of others, you connect our hearts and minds and create a sense of hope and faith in difficult times. Of course, love, you are the epitome of positivity and salvation, and because of you, it is easy to drown out the forces of destruction, because we all know that you will prevail. No matter how bleak the future looks, you make us see a ray of hope in everything we do." Sadness was very curious as to who this person was and asked, "Who are you? You sound so familiar, like someone I have known all my life." "My name is Hope, and I am the warrior of the future. I come with a belief in a better life, with a strong sense of purpose and will, and I believe in every one of you. I embrace every fear, every tear, and every ounce of anger as a part of making us who we are and shaping our journey to greatness. I believe in the light that lives in all of us." My guests were disappointed that they did not recognize Hope and hung their heads in shame. When they looked up to acknowledge Hope, she had disappeared. We looked frantically for her, but Hope was nowhere to be found. Then Love had an epiphany. Filled with positivity and excitement, she said, "Wait a minute. Hope found courage in every one of us. It was her way of reminding us that even in our darkest moments, when we are angry or sad or fearful, and even when we are happy and full of love, there's always a need for hope. Hope is built in every one of our hearts and cannot be found outside of us, because hope lives within all of us. What an amazing evening! Each guest had left me with an unforgettable lesson. I learned that anger is needed to acknowledge our boundaries and deal with our barriers. I learned that fear catapults us to explore new frontiers and embrace change. I learned that sadness keeps us humble and bold in the face of adversity. I learned that love is accepting who we are and embracing all our imperfections. And most importantly, I learned that hope fuels our purpose and steers us on no matter what challenges we face. Hope promises us a future and gives us the courage to be bold, to be audacious, and to believe in life. Despite these times of great fear and struggle, hope will prevail. We will overcome this battle, and the world will be healed.